Hey folks. So in my last episode of Mark from Montana, I spent pretty much the entirety of the video whinging about Tamiya instructions, specifically the instructions that came with the Fairy Swordfish 1/48 scale kit, and I was just having a dickens of a time deciphering them. I was complaining about the small size, the lack of clarity, all sorts of stuff. Not exactly a very positive picture, especially since there are solutions to those so-called problems. I realized what I needed to do was get myself back on a positive note and ask, was it really the instructions that were causing me to just freeze up in the workbench, not get anything done? No, there was something more fundamental. And I realized I can solve the instruction problem, but there are other things that need to be addressed much sooner if I'm going to get back to enjoying the hobby again. And I began on that course this morning. So let's start with the mess, the chaos that I've created over the past couple of months, and maybe sort things into three piles or stacks. The stuff related to the swordfish, some of the stuff, and we'll come back to that, related to the Formula One group build, which I'm going to be making a 1965 BRM, and then everything else that's making life difficult so that I might not even want to tackle that buddy build project. So I started cleaning and sorting this morning. And I would say that my workbench, such as it is fairly well organized. I know where everything is now. It's nice and neat. And yes, indeed, I'm going to put away the swordfish right now because that will come up last on the calendar. Now, it's my own deadline, and I can just put that away and start to focus. But I had to tackle some other areas, and while this may look a little chaotic, it didn't take more than a few minutes to bring some order to this. This isn't ideal, this table with all of the paints in the paint booth, but I can say this, I know where everything is, and this wasn't causing me really any problems anyway. So that's in order. You know, the stash, the overflow stash from the storage room, the closet, is in place. And while this table may look a little crazy, believe it or not, I know where everything is on this table. I know how to work my way around, and that isn't the problem either. No, the issue was what was lurking inside that closet, which had become, and in the inside, much more closely resembled Fibber McGee's closet. So let's take a look. Okay, I should have taken some pictures of what this place looked like early this morning with all sorts of stuff piled up in here. And what remains now is the way the closet looked with model boxes up there, a variety of some paints and some other supplies over here. And then again, some more model boxes up there, and a few things here. And okay, I'm not going to address the issues around the 5-foot U-boat kit. I'll talk about those some other time. But everything's in order here. So what did I do? Yeah, well, that's what I did. I had to get the slot car stuff, which had been piled up in a haphazard fashion in multiple boxes, out of here. And I had to do that in order to find what I needed to scratch build the BRM and turn this little 1/32 scale shell into a static model like this. Yeah, I know what to do. I've done one of these before. I built this, scratch built this 5, 6 years ago. But I needed to find all the stuff that went with turning something like this into this. You see, the real issue was that I was getting into a panic mode of completing 3 projects, all with, in a sense, self-imposed deadlines before the end of the year. 10 weeks away. The Fairy Swordfish, doing a buddy build with Charlie for a little kit that both of us had received, a 1/48 scale Avro biplane 1911, and doing essentially a scratch build using a beautiful resin fiberglass shell to enter into the group build, the Formula One group build, and get all of that done by the end of the year. And in theory, none of that should have been a problem, but I was getting frantic over little issues, compounded by something that was quite big, the enormous mess that I had created in and around my workbench, in the storage room, and with all sorts of other places in the house. And I said, you've got to tackle what's causing you the grief, which is the mess, and then figure out whether indeed you're going to do all of these projects before the end of the year and get on with life. Okay, here it is. Yeah. This mess, all of these boxes, bags, containers represent maybe 10 to 12 years of collecting various bits and pieces for scratch building and racing slot cars. Since it's not something I've done in quite a while, the storage of that became quite haphazard and ended up in that closet that we just took a look at. Now, I can't sort stuff out in the closet. It's too cramped. The light isn't great. I'll just be tripping all over myself. So I moved all that stuff into the guest bedroom. And here it all is. It's not in any sense neatly organized. That's probably going to take at least a day, maybe 2, to get figured out, during which time I should sort and find the pieces that I'm going to need to build the BRM. And then I can get these back, everything reorganized into containers and boxes and neatly put away in the storage room. Yeah, that'll work. So no building until I get this off of the bed and everything organized here and moved out of here. And then I will be ready to tackle the BRM. Should finish that. After I finish the sourcing and identification of all of the parts, I'm saying 2 weeks. Okay, let's say 3 weeks, just because I will have other things going on in my life, I guess. Then, when that's done, takes me to middle of November. Time for the buddy build with Charlie. Okay. And that should take, let's say 2 weeks. Now, realistically, 1 week, but I just don't build fast. And I don't know what this is going to entail in terms of any issues for this little kit. So 2 weeks. Okay, end of November. That means if I want to, I can print out some enlarged instructions and get back to building this swordfish and not worrying about how am I ever going to find the parts and pieces to do this, and then get on with the buddy build for this, and more than enough time to spare. See, got to deconstruct a problem. Now, of course, what I can't do in the interim is recreate that mess. That will be really the biggest challenge of the whole issue. So the first step is to neatly put this away, the next step, and then back into here while the light's good, and start the process over the next couple of days of sorting through enough spare parts and bits and pieces to build 100 slot cars. And I've only got to build one, but I've got to find the stuff to do it within this mess. I think that's doable. Thanks for watching.